Have you grown up eating liver? I didn't. And when I went carnivore, I knew I was going to need to eat liver in order to get the maximum nutrient profile from animal sources. So in order to do that, I decided to figure out a way to make it more palatable. If you're new here, hello, my name is Lindsey. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I know I've been a little inconsistent as of late, but I'm here today. And if you are new, I would love for you to check out some of my other content, and if it interests you, stick around a little while, consider subscribing, and I hope to just get to know y'all better. So I did not grow up eating liver as a child. My dad did occasionally, and he definitely can enjoy it from time to time, but my mom never made it. I never ate liver in my life that I was aware of. And then whenever I started digging into the carnivore diet and what it means to eat nose to tail, and knowing that included eating the organs, eating some of the less common muscle tissues like the heart, which is an organ and a muscle. But you know, these various pieces of the animal that are very nutritious and are just so ripe for the nutrient taking for our bodies, I decided that I was going to need to learn how to either A, like liver, or B, figure out ways that I could put it into food that we already like and glean those nutrients that way. I follow a few carnivores here on YouTube that share things like eating raw liver and raw lamb brains and just all kinds of things that are so far outside of my wheelhouse and comfort zone that it blows my mind. But liver is something that is accessible to me, and it's something that I can add to various dishes in a way that gives me the nutrients that I need from it, and it's something that my girls really enjoy as well. So today I wanted to show you just one of the ways that I like to add liver into our diets to ensure that we are getting all of that glorious nutrition. For now, I want to show you how I add liver to a very common meal in my family that doesn't get any weird looks.
All right, first step is grabbing some beef liver. I pulled this out of our deep freeze that's in our garage. And I will be using the KitchenAid metal grinder along with my KitchenAid mixer as my method to sort of make this beef liver into tinier pieces. And because my beef liver is frozen solid, I need to try to unwrap it, but also let it thaw out just a tiny bit so that I can more easily slice through it. So now that my liver has thawed out some, I'm able to actually slice through it. And my goal here is to make each of those pieces small enough to fit down the tube of my metal grinder. Now with everything sliced up, I'm ready to wash my hands and attach my grinder to my KitchenAid mixer. I'll be mixing this liver with ground beef, and I have pulled that out of my refrigerator, and we'll be using that bowl to just grind the liver straight into. And the next step is to just start feeding the liver through the grinder. And I use the little tamper tool to shove that through the grinder. And as you can see here, my liver is coming out and it looks like sausage or ground beef. This makes the texture so similar to the ground beef that it will require very little effort to incorporate it into my ground beef in the bowl. I have made it to the end of my liver. You can see it there with my ground beef, and I'm ready to mix the two together. I like doing this by hand. Be sure that you take your rings off beforehand if you don't want to have to clean them afterwards, but I dove in before really thinking that one through. So this took a little while for me to do because I would get my hands so cold in this meat that I would have to take a break, wash my hands, and then come back to it. You do want the meat to be very cold. So I'll be using my kasori to cook this meat, and I'm going to be turning this into meatballs. But before I do that, I go ahead and set the preheat setting on my kasori air fryer to get that moving, and I'm going to season up my meat mixture. I like to use very basic seasonings whenever I am doing these kinds of things for the freezer, just basically salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. With those 4 seasonings, it just makes it it makes it flavorful without steering one direction too far. So I could add these to a taco soup. I could add them to zoodles and spaghetti sauce if I wanted to. I could even just heat these up in the Instant Pot with some low-carb barbecue sauce if I wanted, or make a brown gravy to go along with it and serve it over some sauteed cabbage or some cauli rice. And that just sort of allows me to have a more versatile item in my freezer at any given time. You could also add in an egg or some almond meal or some low-carb baking mix if you wanted to have more of a traditional meatball texture, but I just want to keep it really simple this go around. Now I'm going to use parchment paper to keep my cleanup a little bit simpler, and I like to use the 1.5 tablespoon scoop. I don't know if it's going to show up. Is it coming? Nope, it's 1.5 tablespoon scoop. I bought this at Walmart in the baking area, and I think it was labeled as a medium-sized cookie scoop. It just makes a really good-sized meatball. I do have the smaller 2 teaspoon scoop, and that makes for really good appetizer-sized meatballs. But for the freezer and just having these available for a multitude of recipe options, the 1.5 tablespoon seems to work out really nicely. So my air fryer is preheated and I'm ready to drop my meatballs in there. I have done this numerous times in the oven using a broiler pan, which works out just fine. I can get about, 3 dozen of this size of meatball per pan and cook them, but it usually takes at least an hour, whereas cooking them in the air fryer takes significantly less time, and it's just so much easier for me personally to just constantly add a batch to the air fryer and then start working on rolling the next batch. And I cooked these at 380 degrees for 7 minutes. Now that they are ready, you can see they are golden, they are juicy, they are fantastic. So I want to show you what these look like on the inside, and after just 7 minutes, they are cooked to perfection. They are not dried out, they are not pink in the middle, they are well done without being, like I said, dry. And as you can see there, it's just like a burger patty in meatball form. I really hope you give these a try. Don't scoff at them just because it's liver. Give them a try, see if you like them, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in my next video.